This video is sponsored by Manscaped. Go to manscaped.com, use promo code CLNS20 for 20% off of your purchases. Robert wrote in the same way you can. You go to patreon.com/Zach Schaumler. And Robert wrote in, he said this. He said, "Hello, Zach. I don't really listen to many podcasts, but yours stands out most by a long shot. Keep up the good work. My question is regarding Derek Carr. This will be his 7th year as the starting QB for the Raiders. For years now, the Raider Nation has wanted him out, but I've always been defending him. Do you think he's the answer for our franchise and will take us to the playoffs this year? This is by far the best team we've had around him, both on offense and on defense." Look, I have been recently watching a ton of film on Derek Carr, and this video is not going to be a direct film analysis video. This topic will not be. I'm going to show a couple of clips because I'm neurotic and I can, but I don't have the time to edit a gigantic, normal short film style film analysis video. I'm running out of time. I need to finish my NFL predictions episode. I'm a little bit overwhelmed by it. But I've been watching film of Derek Carr because in order to make a good prediction for the Raiders this year, I need to know how good Derek Carr is. And so, first of all, what I found on film is that, Derek Carr is a really, really talented quarterback. He does a lot of good stuff. To me, I always ask, what does the film say? That kind of matters. What does the film tell me when I watch film? And look, the film to me says he's a franchise quarterback. I believe in Derek Carr. I like Derek Carr, not just as a person, but he's talented. He does good stuff on film. However, oddly enough, in watching film, both watching film, having conversations behind the scenes, and then kind of doing some, looking at what's going on with the Raiders, I'm actually not sure that Derek Carr is the long-term solution at quarterback for the Vegas Raiders. And really, to be more specific, I'm not sure that he's the guy for Jon Gruden, the coach of the Raiders. First of all, I love watching Derek Carr throw the ball. He is a guy who is immensely talented. Watching him reminds me of peak Aaron Rodgers, where the dude can just flip his arm, and it's beautiful. It's an incredibly tight spiral. It literally looks like Derek Carr is like the computer-generated quarterback in Madden. That spiral, it's beautiful, and it's just fun to watch him throw the ball. He's really, really gifted as a passer. There's a play week 1 against the Broncos where he uses his eyes to hold the safety inside. He's creating a window for a post. That's a great play. And so Derek Carr does good stuff like that often where, that play helped seal the deal on a key third down, got them a first down to kind of seal the game at the end over the Broncos. Derek Carr does some really good stuff on film. I like Derek Carr, but part of the problem with Derek Carr last year was that he did not have a true number 1 outside receiver. He did have a great tight end, Darren Waller. He's kind of the best kept secret in the NFL. Hunter Renfrow is a young inside slot receiver as a rookie. He's young, a lot of good stuff. But again, that youth meant he needs to get a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger inside. Hunter Renfrow is a guy who's going to play, I think, for a long time in the NFL. He's never going to be like, oh, he's the best receiver in the league, but he's a very good contributor, and I feel very good about Hunter Renfrow moving forward. Now, Tyrell Williams is the guy that he was frustrating to watch. Tyrell Williams was the guy who replaced Antonio Brown in the Raiders system. And look, he was never going to be Antonio Brown. Those are too big of shoes for him to fill. But he also simply was not up to the task of being a number 1 receiver in the NFL either. Not having a true number 1 receiver, that hurt Derek Carr. There were a lot of drops. There wasn't really a guy on their roster who could win outside. Remember, they traded away Amari Cooper. They had Antonio Brown very briefly, and he didn't work out for reasons I'm not even going to get into. And so not having a true number 1 receiver, a guy who could win outside and create big plays, it was very limiting for the Raiders. Now, the Raiders and their quarterback, Derek Carr, you have the roster, the people around Derek Carr, and then you have Derek Carr. Now, they're separate entities, but they had really kind of the same problem last year, which is that across the board, there were way too many small mistakes. Costly penalties on key downs, fumbles, lots of avoidable mistakes, a lot of mental mistakes, to be totally honest, and errors that simply cannot happen if you're an NFL franchise. Just things that were like, you can't have a holding penalty on 3rd and 5. You can't have a drop pass in that situation. You got to run the right route there. You can't throw the ball there. There's just weird things where, come on, guys. as a whole, it's not Derek Carr's fault. It's the entire roster. The defense had problems. Everybody on the roster. I don't. Jon Gruden's a good coach, but I wonder, is it a discipline problem? Why is there a lack of attention to detail with the Raiders? Why did that happen last year? Week 2 against Kansas City, there was an interception on the goal line, and Derek Carr did the right thing. A running play is called, but the defense was blitzing, and so Carr made a check at the line of scrimmage. He throws a fade ball to counter the blitz, and his receiver doesn't even look for the ball. He missed the check at the line of scrimmage, and that's a costly mental mistake. It gave an easy interception to the Chiefs, and that kind of stuff happened all the time for the Raiders last year. Stuff that just like, come on, guys. That's an unavoidable mistake. Now, Derek Carr isn't perfect either. Against the Colts, he missed a really easy touchdown where, it's just a simple slant. And Derek throws the ball in the dirt behind his receiver. And I guess the receiver does get his hands on the ball, sure. Kind of gets his hands on it, but Derek needs to throw a better ball here. That should have been an easy touchdown week 4 against the Colts. And I saw even, was it Corner Canyon High School from Utah this weekend? The quarterback threw a touchdown on that same exact route. It's like, that should be easy. It should be a walk-in touchdown, maybe the easiest touchdown of his life. And he missed it. And he needs to be better at the small details. It's not just the roster around him. And there are certainly problems that happened with the Raiders last year that affected Derek Carr very negatively. But Derek Carr, as a quarterback, needs to be better at those little tiny things. You can't miss that throw. You can't. There's just small mistakes like all over the board. And sometimes, I wonder if when Derek Carr misses a throw, is he in his head? Is he thinking too much? Like, it's literally like he's aiming the ball rather than just relaxing, letting it rip. He's a talented quarterback. And I wonder if he was second-guessing himself at times last year with his accuracy and where he was throwing the ball and how he was throwing the ball. Now, regardless, my takeaway from film, though, is that Derek Carr he's a franchise quarterback. He's awesome. He's fun to watch. And that's why when the Raiders signed Marcus Mariota, and the fact that the Raiders did sign Marcus Mariota, because at the time when it happened, I was like, well, is Derek Carr a franchise quarterback? I have no idea. After watching film, the fact that the Raiders added Marcus Mariota to their roster, another quarterback, the guy from Tennessee, he was their starter last year at the beginning of the year with Tennessee before Ryan Tannehill took his job. Now that I feel the way I feel about Derek Carr, watching film, he's a franchise quarterback. It's weird to me that they decided to make a move and sign Marcus Mariota. I thought maybe Derek Carr is a little bit skittish. Maybe they're afraid that he's afraid to take a hit. That was my kind of notion was, okay, maybe Derek Carr got hurt. His back got hurt a couple of years ago. Ever since then, maybe he's not been quite the same. And on film, I just don't see that. He's tough as nails. He takes hits. He's not afraid to get hit. He's learning how to protect himself, absolutely, and as he should do, because he is a franchise quarterback. He shouldn't take unnecessary damage. But Derek Carr is not afraid of getting hit. And so the question is, why would the Raiders not want Derek Carr? I couldn't really find it. There are mistakes, absolutely. Derek Carr is not perfect. But very similar to the rest of the Raiders roster, Derek Carr is growing and learning. And his mistakes are all fixable. And so I honestly don't understand, why did the Raiders bring in Marcus Mariota? And it's not like the Raiders just did nothing. I mean, it's not like the Raiders. So what I'm trying to say here is that Jameis Winston signed as the backup quarterback with the New Orleans Saints. Jameis Winston is a former starting quarterback, going to be the quarterback behind Drew Brees. He got $1 million contract. That's not what the Raiders did. The Raiders gave Marcus Mariota over $17 million, not a tiny contract at all. They're not paying him necessarily like a backup quarterback, and so it's very weird. I just don't understand. I want to talk about the pieces around Derek Carr for a second before we come back and circle around to Marcus Mariota, what happened there. Look, the left tackle Colton Miller last year struggled a lot. He got abused. He got embarrassed. Go watch the Vikings game. Everson Griffin, he just embarrasses Colton Miller multiple times last year. He's in his third year now. He's got to get better as a left tackle. The running back Josh Jacobs, I will say, though, he was a blast to watch. I love him. He's great. He makes really good cuts. He's explosive. He's good after the catch. Josh Jacobs is maybe the steal of the draft last year. Just phenomenal. Him or DK Metcalf, I guess, potentially. But I really, really like Josh Jacobs. He was kind of a surprise, and he's been phenomenal. Not surprised to anyone paying attention, I guess, but I didn't hear his name a lot, and then he played really, really well out of Alabama. They also got Henry Ruggs in the draft this year from Alabama. He's a speedy receiver. He can make big plays, catch some jump balls. Reminds me a lot of Tyreek Hill from Kansas City. And Henry Ruggs, I think the second or the third, I apologize for not knowing. He's made a lot of big plays in training camp this year. They're really excited about Henry Ruggs. He's awesome. They got Darren Waller. Darren Waller broke out last year. He's a great tight end. They did some stuff with Darren Waller that you're like, oh, that's not what a tight end does. I mean, they threw screen passes to Darren Waller as if he was a slot receiver. So they love Darren Waller. So the pieces around Derek Carr, the offensive line's got to be better. Trent Williams, they wanted to be a better right tackle. He had a lot of penalties and just weird false starts and holding penalties that were frustrating. It's like there are moments where you can't have the penalties he had. So the offensive line has to be better moving forward. But there are certainly good pieces around Derek Carr. Now, the Raiders' defense, oh my gosh, they had big problems with the secondary last year. And because of that, they give up a lot of points, and Derek Carr was often playing from behind. It's hard to win if you're down 30 points the entire game trying to come back, trying to keep up with Patrick Mahomes and the Vikings and all these other these teams they played that put up a ton of points on the Raiders. But overall, here's what I really settled on after watching film of Derek Carr and the Raiders. It's that Derek Carr is a really good quarterback. I like him. He's a franchise quarterback. And also their coach, Jon Gruden, is good. There's good ideas happening. There's some creative play design. Both Derek Carr and Jon Gruden are really good separately. I like both of them separately. However, I don't think they're a good fit together. And that's awkward because I think separately, if they part ways, they're both going to succeed. If Derek Carr goes somewhere else, he's going to make it work. And if Derek Carr leaves the Raiders, I think Jon Gruden's going to find a way to be successful by himself too. But I've been trying to figure out, why was Marcus Mariota signed to be the backup quarterback for the Vegas Raiders? And why was he given such a big contract? And here's kind of what I've deduced, honestly, is that the reality is I believe that Jon Gruden is eager to replace Derek Carr. And that's a bit weird, but think about it. Think about what's happened recently. First of all, previously, Jon Gruden brought in Mike Glennon to be the backup quarterback, and I think he was hoping could challenge Derek Carr a little bit. Mike Glennon was once viewed as a starter in the NFL, and Jon Gruden loves to tinker with backup quarterbacks and see, hey, is this a better fit? And then, he brought in Marcus Mariota. And so Jon Gruden keeps trying to find another option instead of Derek Carr. I'm not sure that Jon Gruden really loves Derek Carr. I do a dating podcast with my stepmom. It's called the Desperately Dating Podcast. She writes a lot about dating. It's fun. We have good banter, and she's got good ideas. And we say on that show that indecision means no. And if you're not sure if somebody likes you, then they don't. And I am not sure that Jon Gruden likes Derek Carr. And it's weird. We're a couple of years in. It should be very obvious. And the fact that Jon Gruden hasn't seemed to embrace Derek Carr is odd. And it's important. It matters. He praises everybody. He praises Marcus Mariota. He praises even Nathan Peterman, who, my gosh, was a mess. And at some point, we're going to find out, why did the Raiders bring in Marcus Mariota as their backup quarterback? I love Jon Gruden. I love Derek Carr. And if Derek Carr leaves the Raiders, I think he's going to find a way to be successful. I think he'd be successful somewhere else. But Jon Gruden's system, it's not a great fit for Derek Carr, to be totally honest. They run the ball a bunch. They use heavy play action. That's what Jon Gruden does. And the reality is that Derek Carr should be in shotgun all the time. He should be throwing the ball a ton. And I think he's a better fit in a different system that's not Jon Gruden's. He's okay in Jon Gruden's system, but I think he'd be better actually somewhere else. And another weird reality is that the best year of Derek Carr's career in the NFL, 2016, it happened with a coach that was not named Jon Gruden. His head coach was Jack Del Rio. Bill Musgrave was the offensive coordinator. It was a different offense. It was a different system. And Derek Carr was better. Borderline MVP candidate. So I don't know that Derek Carr is a long-term plan in Vegas. I don't have a lot of confidence in that. And it's weird to say, but why isn't Jon Gruden embracing him? Why sign Mariota? And for a long time, I kind of had this theory that, okay, the reason why Jon Gruden isn't signing Derek Carr, isn't praising Derek Carr is because, he doesn't want to inflate his ego. Made sense to me, but it's been years. And as time has gone on, it's gotten weirder and weirder. There hasn't been this key moment where Jon Gruden goes, Derek Carr is my guy. It's time to embrace him. And I don't know why we're waiting, and it's never come. Jon Gruden keeps talking about the backup quarterbacks, how much he loves Nathan Peterman and Mike Glennon and Marcus Mariota. Where's the love for Derek Carr? And sometimes it's not what you say that's important, it's what you don't say. And I hope I'm wrong. I like Derek Carr. I like Jon Gruden. I think they're both capable. I think Derek Carr is a franchise quarterback. I think Jon Gruden is a good coach. And if they separate and go their separate ways and break up, they're both going to succeed after their breakup. But I'm not convinced that Jon Gruden wants Derek Carr to be his franchise quarterback. I hope I'm wrong. But if I had to pick a side and make a prediction, I would say that Derek Carr isn't going to work out in Oakland. Or what am I saying? In Vegas, I guess, with the Raiders. They moved to Vegas. It's hard for me still to embrace that and accept that. But if I had to pick a side and say, what is the future for Derek Carr? I'd say, I think at some point he's going to get replaced by Marcus Mariota. And I think at some point he's going to leave the Raiders and have to find a new home and a new team. And might do better. Might find a better fit for him than playing for Jon Gruden with the Raiders.